Hello everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to explore a tense and emotional story about Tuna, her young son Henry, and the dark plan of her former mother-in-law, who is determined to take Henry away, driven by grief and revenge. It's a confrontation filled with fear, love, and the unshakable will to protect family at all costs. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. The sun rose gently over the quiet countryside, casting its golden light across the fields and trees that surrounded Tuna's small farm. At first glance, the day seemed ordinary, filled with the promise of peace. But within the shadows of another home, not far away, a different story was unfolding. In the stillness of her living room, Tuna's former mother-in-law sat alone, her hands clasped tightly together as though gripping the very memories she could never release. The silence around her was heavy, but her mind was alive with restless thoughts. She thought of her late son, the man she believed Tuna had destroyed. The grief of his death, combined with her hatred toward the woman she blamed, had grown inside her like a slow-burning fire. And now, only one image kept flashing through her mind. Henry. Henry, her only grandson. Her son's only child. To her, he was the last blood tie she had, the final living thread connecting her to the family that once was. And as she sat there, brooding, she convinced herself of a cruel truth, that Tuna could never raise Henry properly, that Tuna was too weak, too flawed, too cursed. If she keeps him, the older woman whispered bitterly to herself, he will suffer the same way my son did. I can't let that happen. Her mind began to spin with resolve. At first, she imagined approaching Tuna gently, speaking with calm and softness, pretending to seek reconciliation. Maybe she could convince Tuna to hand Henry over, persuade her that it was for the boy's future, for his safety. But as the minutes passed, her heart hardened. If kind words didn't work, then she would use force. She would take Henry by any means necessary. The thought alone brought a strange sense of satisfaction. In her mind, she wasn't just taking the boy, she was protecting him, and at the same time punishing the woman she despised. Rising from her chair, she adjusted her black shawl, her movements deliberate, heavy, almost ritualistic. Then, without hesitation, she stepped out into the brightness of the morning. To the world outside, it was just another sunny day. To her, it was the beginning of a dark plan. She walked steadily, a shadow drifting toward Tuna's farm. When she arrived, the place looked strangely still. The gate was locked tight, and no voices, no laughter, not even the faint cry of a child could be heard. She frowned, her suspicion instantly awakened. "Where are they?" she muttered. Her sharp eyes scanned the property, looking for signs of life. Was it possible that Tuna had sensed her intentions and fled with Henry? The thought enraged her. Unable to storm inside, she pulled a worn chair closer to the old bamboo table in the yard and sat down. Her fingers tapped impatiently against the surface as her mind swirled with memories. Images of her son's face returned, his smile, his struggles, the day she lost him. And with each memory, the fire inside her blazed hotter. "It was her fault," she whispered. "Tuna destroyed everything. She ruined him. And now she dares to raise my grandson." Hours seemed to stretch in silence, broken only by the occasional chirp of birds. The farm itself seemed calm, but beneath that quietness lay her burning fury. concealed like a storm waiting to strike. Then finally, the sound she longed for. Footsteps approached, the crunch of gravel, the low hum of an engine, and then the screech of tires slowing near the gate. A small car pulled up, and from the passenger seat, Tuna stepped out. She was holding Henry, who lay sleeping peacefully in her arms, his head nestled against her shoulder. The morning outing had clearly exhausted him, but on Tuna's face was a tenderness that contrasted her fatigue. The older woman's heart jolted at the sight. For a fleeting moment her eyes softened as she gazed at Henry. He looked so much like her son, so much like the man she lost. But just as quickly her expression hardened again. Her gaze shifted to Tuna, and all the hatred surged back. Tuna stopped mid-step when she noticed her. Her heart pounded, her breath caught. "Mother," she whispered under her breath, instinctively pulling Henry closer to her chest. The unease rippled through her, but she quickly straightened, masking her fear with calm determination. She walked toward the gate, carefully balancing Henry's sleeping body in her arms. "Good morning," the older woman said coldly. Her voice carried a weight that made the air itself feel heavier. "Good morning," Tuna replied politely, though her tone trembled slightly. She pressed a kiss to Henry's forehead, as if drawing strength from his presence. For a moment, the silence between them was unbearable. Then the older woman broke it with words that sliced deep. "He looks exactly like his father. Every time I see him, I'm reminded of what I lost. And you..." Her voice sharpened, trembling with venom. "You're the reason I lost him." Tuna flinched but stood firm. "That's not fair," she said quietly. "Fair?" The woman's laugh was bitter, hollow. "My son is gone, and all I have left is this child, my blood, my grandson, and you think you can raise him? You? You're weak, Tuna. You've already brought nothing but disaster. Henry belongs with me. I will raise him. I will protect him. You will only drag him down." The air grew suffocating, the sun above seeming to burn hotter as tension filled the yard. Tuna stepped back instinctively, clutching Henry tighter, her eyes wide but blazing with resolve. "Henry is my son," she said firmly, her voice shaking yet unbreakable. "No one will take him from me, not you, not anyone. If I have to fight with everything I have, even my life, I will protect him." The older woman's chair scraped against the ground as she stood abruptly. Her figure loomed with authority, her words sharp and threatening. "Do not test me, Tuna. If you don't hand him over willingly, I will not hesitate to take him by force. He is my blood, and you cannot keep him from me." Tuna's body tensed, her arms tightening around Henry. She met her mother-in-law's gaze with fiery defiance. "Henry is mine, my child, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, I will never give him up. You'll have to go through me first." And just as the air seemed ready to explode with violence, the sound of a car door echoed. Both women turned their heads, startled. From the driver's side of the car, Alex emerged. His tall frame and steady presence filled the space instantly. He walked quickly, positioning himself in front of Tuna and Henry, his stance protective, his fists clenched tightly as though ready for battle. "Enough," Alex said coldly, his eyes locked on the older woman. His voice was steady, unshaken, the voice of a man prepared to defend those he loved. The woman narrowed her eyes at him, her lips curling in disdain. "This has nothing to do with you. I'm only here for my grandson. Stand aside, and no harm will come." Alex didn't flinch. "You're wrong," he said firmly. "Henry belongs with his mother. Tuna has the right to raise her son, and I will not let anyone take him away, not even you. If you want him, you'll have to go through me." The tension sharpened like a blade. The yard, once quiet, was now split into two sides, one of cold determination, the other of unyielding protection. On one side, a grandmother consumed by grief and vengeance. On the other, a mother and a man willing to risk everything for the boy's safety. Tuna stood behind Alex, her eyes brimming with fear and fury all at once. Her grip on Henry tightened, and though her body trembled, her spirit did not break. "He's mine," she whispered again, her words like a vow. The standoff had begun. Every breath felt heavier, every second stretched longer. One wrong move, one misstep, and the fragile balance could collapse into tragedy. The air inside the small farmyard seemed to thicken with every breath. Tuna's former mother-in-law had risen from her seat, her figure looming with authority and menace. Her eyes bore into Tuna, her voice dripping with bitterness. "You can't raise him," she declared, stepping closer with every word. "Henry looks just like my son. Every time I see his face, I'm reminded of what I've lost. And you—" Her voice cracked, then sharpened again. "You are the reason my son is gone. You brought ruin to this family, and I will not stand by while you destroy his child too." Tuna's heart pounded, but she held Henry tighter, his small body nestled against her chest. Though her hands trembled, her eyes blazed with a fierce light. "Henry is my son," she said firmly, her voice steadier than she felt. "I will never let anyone take him from me. Not now, not ever. Even if it costs me everything, I will protect him." The older woman's expression hardened into a mask of cold fury. She advanced, her tone sharp and commanding. "Don't defy me, Tuna. I am his grandmother, his blood. That makes him mine. If you refuse, I will do whatever it takes. Don't make me show you how far I'm willing to go." Tuna took a step back, pressing her shoulders against the wooden frame of the house. The morning sun glared down, but her skin felt cold. Her arms tightened around Henry, her breath uneven. "You can threaten me all you want," she answered, her voice shaking but resolute. "But Henry is not yours to claim. He is my child. I will fight with everything I have to keep him safe." The tension snapped like a drawn bowstring. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the standoff, the slam of a car door. Both women turned their heads in unison. From the passenger seat of the car parked by the gate, a tall figure emerged. "Alex." He moved quickly, his presence filling the space like a shield. His steps were firm, his gaze unyielding. Without hesitation, he positioned himself in front of Tuna and Henry, his broad shoulders blocking them from sight. His fists clenched tightly at his sides, ready if needed. "That's enough," Alex said coldly, his voice steady and commanding. "This ends here." The older woman's eyes narrowed, her tone shifting to one of contempt. You think you can interfere in this? You are nothing to me." "This has nothing to do with you. I only want my grandson. Step aside and no harm will come." Alex didn't budge. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of iron. "You're wrong. This has everything to do with me. I will not let you take Henry. He belongs with his mother. And Tuna—" His voice softened briefly as he glanced back at her, then hardened again. "She is stronger than you will ever admit. She is his mother, and she has every right to raise him. If you want to hurt her, if you want to hurt Henry, you'll have to go through me first." The words hit like a stone thrown into still water, their ripples spreading through the air. Tuna's eyes filled with tears, not of fear, but of gratitude. She could see Alex's back, tall and unmovable, standing between her and danger. Her breath caught as she whispered, "Alex." Her voice trembled, but her spirit grew steadier, strengthened by his presence. The older woman scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. "So this is how it is? A man with no blood ties speaks as though he has a claim. You're not his father. You're not even family. You have no right." Alex's eyes darkened, his tone sharp as a blade. "Maybe I don't share his blood, but family is more than blood. Family is the one who loves, who protects, who sacrifices. That's what Tuna does for Henry, and that's what I'll do too. He's not yours to take." The air seemed to crackle with the force of the moment. On one side stood a grandmother consumed by grief and vengeance, her mind blinded by memories of the past. On the other side stood Alex and Tuna, united in determination, bound not just by love but by the promise of protection. The older woman's lips tightened, her face pale but resolute. "You think you've won because you have someone to hide behind?" she hissed. "No, I will take Henry, one way or another. You can't keep him from me forever." Tuna stepped forward slightly, her eyes blazing with a strength she hadn't realized she possessed. "You're wrong," she said firmly. "I don't need to hide. I am Henry's mother, and I will fight for him with every breath I have. Nothing you do will change that." For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The morning bird song was gone, replaced by the thunder of pounding hearts. The three of them stood locked in a triangle of hate, love, and defiance, each unwilling to surrender. Henry stirred again in Tuna's arms, his tiny hand brushing against her cheek. She looked down at him, her resolve solidifying like steel. When she looked up again, her eyes shone with tears, but her voice was unwavering. "You will not take him, not today, not ever." Alex stepped even closer, his body taut, his stance protective. "This confrontation is over. Leave now, before you do something you can't take back." The older woman's face contorted, torn between grief, rage, and helplessness. For an instant, her shoulders sagged, as though the weight of years pressed down upon her. But then the bitterness returned, searing her voice. "This isn't over," she spat. "You'll see. You'll all see." Her words lingered in the air as she turned sharply and strode out through the gate, her dark shawl trailing behind her like a shadow, unwilling to die. The sound of her footsteps faded, but her threat remained heavy, clinging to the silence she left behind. Tuna's knees buckled as the tension broke. She sank onto the wooden step, Henry still safe in her arms. Her tears spilled freely, falling onto his hair as she kissed the crown of his head. "You're safe, my son," she whispered. "Mama's here. I won't let anyone take you." Alex crouched beside her, his breath unsteady, his fists slowly unclenching. He placed a firm hand on her shoulder, his voice low and reassuring. "It's over," he murmured. "You're safe now." But Tuna shook her head, her gaze distant, her voice trembling. "No, it's not over. She won't stop, Alex. She'll keep coming back, and next time she'll be even more dangerous." Alex's jaw tightened, his eyes hardening with resolve. He looked at Tuna, at the child in her arms, at the family they were trying so desperately to protect. "Then we'll be ready," he said firmly. "We'll protect Henry, together." The camera would fade out on that image. Tuna cradling her son, Alex standing by her side, and the invisible shadow of vengeance still looming just beyond the horizon. The battle for Henry's future was far from finished, but in that moment, the promise of love and protection shone brighter than fear. In the end, the quiet farmyard became the stage for a painful confrontation. Tuna's former mother-in-law, consumed by grief and hatred, arrived with one mission: to take Henry away and reclaim him as her own. Her words cut deep, blaming Tuna for the past and demanding the child as her last connection to her lost son. But Tuna stood firm, holding Henry close, declaring she would never let anyone take her child, not even his grandmother. Just as the threat grew unbearable, Alex stepped forward, shielding Tuna and Henry with unwavering resolve. His presence turned the tide, making it clear that love and protection were stronger than revenge. Though the grandmother retreated with bitter promises of return, Tuna and Alex knew the battle was far from over. Yet in that moment, their unity offered hope that together they could face whatever came next.